The most intelligent person you know is probably also the most exhausted one, because the same mind that can solve problems most people can't even understand is the same mind that can't stop overthinking a simple decision. The gift and the burden are not two separate things. They are the exact same thing. Here are 10 psychological truths about how the high IQ mind actually works, the parts nobody ever talks about. 1. Their brain never stops processing, even when they want it to. Let's start with this. Most people have a thought and move on. The high IQ brain keeps going, pulling it apart, questioning the assumptions, running through multiple layers before anything feels resolved. The same mechanism that makes them exceptional problem solvers is the same one that makes switching off nearly impossible. 2. They need to understand why, not just what. And this is where things start to create friction. Tell a high IQ person what the rule is, and they'll need to know where it came from. If the reason doesn't hold up, their brain registers it like a logical error it cannot ignore. That drive makes them exceptional critical thinkers and genuinely difficult in environments built on unquestioned compliance. 3. They feel things more intensely than they show. Now here's something people almost always miss. Research shows gifted individuals experience higher emotional intensity, feeling more acutely, picking up on undercurrents faster, carrying difficult experiences longer. What looks like composure is something they built deliberately. The emotion doesn't disappear, it goes inward, and that gap between who they appear to be and what they're actually carrying is one of the quieter costs of living this way. 4. Genuine connection is harder for them than most people realize. This is where it gets lonely. The high IQ mind can do surface conversation, but doesn't feel nourished by it. Research consistently finds intellectual isolation among gifted adults. Not physical isolation, but being surrounded by people who can't quite meet you where you actually think. Being liked is not the same as being understood. 5. They hold themselves to a standard they would never apply to anyone else. Here's something that quietly affects everything they do. The ability to evaluate runs ahead of the ability to execute. Research calls this maladaptive perfectionism, where the gap between the ideal and the actual becomes sustained pain. They finish things and feel disappointed. They receive praise and immediately think about the person complimenting them doesn't know, their own harshest critic. For so long, it no longer feels unusual. 6. Boredom doesn't just frustrate them, it destabilizes them. This one surprises people. When understimulated, the high IQ brain generates its own stimulation through anxiety, rumination, and manufacturing complexity where none exists. It produces restlessness that looks like a behavioral problem from the outside, but the moment genuine challenge arrives, the same person transforms. It was never an inability to engage, it was a mind waiting for something worth engaging with. 7. They cannot comfortably hold contradictions within themselves. Most people carry internal contradictions their entire lives without noticing. The high IQ mind notices immediately and cannot move on until it's resolved. Cognitive scientists call this a heightened need for cognitive closure. An unresolved contradiction feels less like uncertainty and more like something broken. 8. Their clarity is exactly what paralyzes them. This is one of the hardest parts. High intelligence does not reliably produce high achievement. Without the right relationship with failure, it produces paralysis. Research points to one primary driver in gifted underachievers, not laziness, but the terror of producing something that doesn't match their own potential. The blank page cannot disappoint them, so the page stays blank. 9. They need depth the way most people need basic comfort. Here's the truth most people won't relate to. Surface engagement doesn't just bore the high IQ mind, it hollows it out. Ordinary life, with its small talk and surface exchanges, feels like a hunger that never fully goes away, surrounded by interaction, rarely genuinely fed by it. 10. The more intelligent they are, the less certain they feel about it. This is the final piece. The deeper your understanding goes, the more clearly you see the edges of what you don't know. Psychologist David Dunning found that genuinely competent people
underestimate their own ability precisely because they can see their limitations clearly. The self-doubt the high IQ mind carries is not proof against their intelligence. In most cases, it is the clearest evidence of it. Most people with a mind like this have spent years feeling like the way they think is a problem to manage, too intense, too complicated, too much. But it was never a flaw, it was always a design. And understanding that is the moment it starts to feel less like a burden and more like something you finally know how to carry. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.